So now let's begin for the course project final report. Well, my study case is MSI laptop. It is a branch of laptop, a gaming laptop, and my name is HaoyuDeng, and my NIT ID is HD1047, and my student ID is N197377179. Okay. So for the content, my paper totally has like 6 parts. And the first part is about background. The second part is about concept development stage, and the third part is about engineering development stage. The first part is about post-development stage, and the fifth part is about some like challenges and system engineering challenges of the program. And the final part, which is recorded, which is asked by the professor, it is about it is a brief summary of this paper and. Some lessons in this semester I have learned what I have learned in this license. Okay, let's begin. Well, for the background part, let me introduce history of MSI laptop at first. Like in 1996, MSI Technology set up its headquarters in China, Shanghai, West Industry and Trade Company, and since then, MSI has been awarded the title of the #1 market share in the Mainboard in the Reader Survey questionnaire held by the most authoritative IT media computer newspaper in China for 4 consecutive years. And since 2003, the MSI technology product line has included dozens of products in 4 categories. Laptop products launched in 2002, digital audio and radio products such as like MP3 and MP4 and Bluetooth communication products and etc. And yeah, after the introduction of background of MSI, and now let's jump into some methodologies of our system engineering, which is what I have learned in this courses. In this course, the first part is about requirements analysis. The second part is functional definition, and the third part is physical definition, and the fourth part is design validation. Okay. So for the requirement analysis, there are several parts that I want to let you know. So requirement analysis is basically about what is the customer need of your kind of laptops. Okay. Actually, I will introduce those four terms in the following lectures and in the following slides. So let's just jump to the next part, which is the part 2, the concept development stage. And well, for the needs analysis, which is also known as requirement analysis, right? So let me introduce this definition to you guys. So if you want to introduce, I mean, if we want to analyze what a product should work for, who should the product work for? Sorry about that. We need to know the target group. So as we all know, like there are several kind of person will use like laptops, and actually everyone needs to use a laptop, right? So I have given some example of the target group, which is basically the teacher, the male student, the female student, the designer, and the businessman, and the requirements of those kind of groups are totally different. So I pick them out. Like so the requirements for those several groups are very different like each other, but yeah, but some common attributes is that they not all of them, uh, but some of them want the product to be to high portability because it's a laptop, right? It's not a computer in your house, right? And it should be good looking, which is required by the female student, and it can high level of hardware, which is required by male student and designer, who need to like play computer games or like doing coding things, and versatility, right? Uh, So well, for the portability and the good looking and high level of hardware versatility and versatility, we need to explore those kind of words. We need to know what it is. Like what is the structure and material of the body of a laptop so that it can hide the attributes like portability, right? And how is the appearance designed so that it could be good looking and will finally attract the female customer, right? And what is it, is this CPU i5 or i7 and the level of graphics card is that N card, which are which is our like the crucial question uh, that male student or designer will ask. And does it have a GPU and can pointer use it? The, those are some like sample exploration of our concept. Well, then it's concept definition. Let's focus on the trade-off study. Uh, right, trade-off study. Trade-off is a very common word. Like we can see it in everywhere, not only in the terminal, not only in the like in the books, but also in the industry or in other fields of working or something like that. So what is the definition of trade-off study? The trade-off study is used in the concept definition phase to assess the relative goodness of an alternative system concept with respect to several parts. The first part is operational performance and compatibility. The second part is about program cost. The third part is about program schedule. And the first part is like the risk in achieving each of the above. So, in order to achieve all of the we could say four goals, we need it has a balance, and we need to do good to do well with those balance, right? So firstly, the operational performance and compatibility. It is the biggest trade-off in the MSI in our program, which is like MSI program, right? So we need to take several things into consideration to be like trade-off to know is it is a trade-off. There is a balance in it, which is like the high performance of MSI GI's CPU and the high level graphics card, which is the thinness of the laptop. Because as we all know, if we want our computer to have a high performance, it usually can't be thin at the same time because it needs the space to have those kind of high performance hardware, right? So this is the first trade-off. The second trade-off we need to know is that the design or appearance of a gaming laptop, which is like the high performance of MSI GS CPU and the high level graphics card. Well, it's kind of the same thing because people who build gaming laptop usually like don't care about the design or the appearance of the laptop because it put more effort or tend to pay more attention to the inside of the laptops. Because that's the engineers of laptops want. It's more about the inside of the laptop, but not the outside. This is indeed a second challenge or second trade-off that we need to get rid of. And the program cost. For the program cost, the cost is the much money is how much is the money you have to pay for MSI's designers who figure out an excellent way to combine all of these features. So if your laptop is not only a thin but also have high level performance, so I think that could be contributed to the effort of the MS designers who design all of this. Alright, so you need to pay money to those guys, which is I think is quite expensive. Well, for the program schedule, MSI stands in the perspective of consumer welfare and considers the three aspects of technology innovation: ergonomic product design and multimedia entertainment and communication integration at the same time, which is a brilliant work, I think. And in terms of innovation, MSI has developed a number of technologies, like including ACV, which is known as Amazing Crystal Vision, and Bright Mirror Technology, Dual Core Cell Smart Power and Management Technology, and ACS, which is known as Advanced Cooling System, which is a cooling technology, etc. So, for the risk in achieving each of the above, if we successfully solve those problems, like we will have a like let's say a thing and a light in a high performance high level hardware laptop. We have all the characteristics, so which means that we successfully solve those problems, so that the price must be very high, and we are not sure that the customers whether or not are willing to pay for it. Maybe the customer only want to use some of the characteristics but not all of them. So there are also other trade-offs, and there are also other trade-offs in MSI, like the powerful hardware and high power adapter, and the color system, the color for its keyboard and being fragile. Actually those trade-offs are some very a very a very common trade-off among all of brands of gaming laptop. And for the next slide, okay, where's the next slide? Okay, for the part 3, engineering development stage. For the third part, there are 3 substages that I want to introduce. I want to introduce in it. There are 3 substages that can be concluded in this stage. As you can see in the picture, in the slides, which are advanced development and engineering design and integration and evaluation. For the first part, which is advanced development, in this substage, we will still focus on discussion about MSI laptop. And the reason why this part comes at the first is that advanced development is the first thing we need to take into consideration when we do engineering development analysis. And as you can see, the requirement analysis and functional analysis, prototyping development, and development testings are 4 methods mostly used in this stage. In this stage, and for the requirement analysis, the purpose of the requirement analysis is to identify the specific components that in need of employment. There are 4 parts where MSI needs to upgrade itself, like which are display, game performance, thickness, and productivity. And for the functional analysis, this part is aimed to analyze the capabilities of each component and its subcomponent and find ways, finally, to measure design performance. Well, in my opinion, the best way to measure our program, which is MSI's component performance, is to compare it with other brands' product, which I think Amazon will have strong point in this field. And for the prototyping development, for this part, I will try to present the basic idea of prototyping development in system engineering, but not related to our topic, which is related to MSI, because there is no open public information on internet about our program's prototyping development, and MSI also does not make it visible for everyone because it's like commercial secret, right? So I will just give you a brief introduction of development testing. It's prototyping development. Prototyping development is the process of determining a prototype. The prototypes develops first into software stage, and they are the main functions and interfaces of the system, presenting to the users in a visual format, and quickly deciding the user's opinion to clearly determine their needs. And meanwhile, prototypes can be used to search for internal opinions as one of the analysis and design interfaces to facilitate communication, and prototypes must be modified and adhered to based on engineering industry and market taste and experiment. And that's for the advanced development. There is a part which is development testing. As we have discussed before, we all know that there is no perfect prototypes, and we need to correct prototypes anytime, because development testing, which is a system engineering technique, is for making corrections. In this part, people will execute some test plans based on important standards to evaluate key factors like components. So this is about advanced development. Well, for the engineering design, usually 3 components are contained in engineering design stage. What are they? They are component engineering, componentized specialty engineering. And during this stage, the user interface, the environment interface, the interfaces between the various modules, and the problems of integration and installation are 4 parts considered by both engineers and designers and myself also. Apart from that, reliability, sustainability, and productivity are also being taken into consideration. And in this paper, we'll only focus on some of those component engineering, and those are like which is just like what you can see in the slide. There are interfaces between the user and the device, and interfaces between environment and device, and interfaces between those different components. Well, for the interfaces between the user and the device, uh, it is also like commonly known as the user interface, which is a medium for interaction and information exchange between the system and the user. And in order to facilitate the user to directly or indirectly control their own operations, the operating system provides a common interface to the user. And like for there are more like user interface in MSI, and for MSI it has three kinds of user interface. It's like command interface and program interface and graph interface. So a command interface is a system in which a user organizes and controls a job using an operating system command or manages a computer system. And a programming interface, like it consists of a set of system commands which are interfaces provided by the operating system to programmers. And then the user requests the operating system to provide the service by using a system call command in the program. And for the graphic user interfaces, it uses graphic user interface to visually and realistically represent various functions, applications, and files of the system with various icons that are easily identifiable. And user can complete the corresponding programs and files through the modes, menus, and dialogues. Well, for MSI, its user interface are nearly the same as the others, but being more stable and stronger. Well, for the interface between environment and the device, there is interaction between the system and the environment, and only the system that adapts to the environment is the most vital. So MSI needs to like adapt to the environment, and the environment will not should not have a bad impact on the MSI program on our laptop, right? Like the environment usually refers to the general term for material, economic, informational, and interpersonal related factors that exist outside the systems. Well, for our MSI, the interaction between MSI and the environment is accomplished through input, output, and feedback process. The normal operation for MSI requires a good environment, like it has a great impact on the normal operation and effective application of MSI. And MSI technology, equipment, information, recording media have technical requirements for the range of parameters of the environment conditions. And it can be seen that environmental conditions are one of the main causes of MSI's failures, and the environmental factors that are outstanding for MSI are temperature, humidity, cleanness, rust, electromagnetic interfaces, and static electricity and power supply, etc. Well, for the interfaces between different components, like for MSI, MSI contains several components such as NVIDIA GeForce 20 and the 8th Gen Intel 6-core processors, which could power up with like 40% of 30% of performance against over the previous generation with the extra cores, and a monitor with 144 HD IPI survival gaming display and cooler boost Trinity. and which is the latest and fastest interface. And what's more, it has the latest and fastest interface Thunderbolt 3, Bluetooth module, battery module, and so on. And every component interact with each other, and meanwhile, they work on themselves independently. But since MSI is a very light thing and there has many taps between such components, it's very hard to disassemble the machine. Well, for the next part, which is integration and evaluation, the so-called system integration is to integrate separate devices, functions, and information into connected and unified and coordinated systems through structured integrating real system and computer network technologies to make resources fully available. Which is related to our MSI is that most of users of MSI have the opinions that it has some advantage like very thin and high and light, and interest is very good, solid state drive speed is very good, keyboard RGB backlight. But there are also some disadvantages, like it is difficult to disassemble the machine, it is not convenient to upgrade the hardware, and there is no numeric keyboard because of the thinness and performance. The price is higher than other brands, right? So that is for this part. Let's jump to the next part, which is post-development stage. There are two substages in the post-development stage, which are production and operation and support. Well, for the production, production is that during the production phase, overall engineering design specific details created during the engineering development phase will be performed centrally in the hardware and software hierarchy. Each set of devices is grouped together, thus making the system suitable for going back to users. And there are several products among the MSI's brands, which is known as GT series and GS series and GE series. I will not give you detailed information about what they are, but you can find out the definition of the several series in my paper, right? And for the operation and support, it can be divided into two parts, like operation and support. For MSI, because of its own characteristic, which is known as a computer, and users are capable of tons of operation. But before all of this operation, users have to install certain software attracting them by using internet or CDs. After that, people will have an easy interaction with MSI without hardware installation or manipulation. So that's the first part of operation, which is also the most significant part. So let's talk about some support. MSI company has a very strong team to deal with all kinds of problems immediately and give a rapid feedback, which is a reliable support, I think. If you want to know more about support and operation, you can also jump into my paper to find out what they are, right? So let's just jump to the next part of the slides, to the next slide, which is part 5, which is known as the challenges of the system. Okay, MSI has to figure out a way to control the size and weight of the laptop, and to keep the price in a reasonable range, while keep the high performance at the same time. Because as we have discussed I think in part 2, there are several trade-offs in the system and in our program. So if MSI decides to have all of the characteristics at the same time, characteristic, and at the same time, the price will definitely goes very high, which may not be acceptable by every person. But it can have like target group, like if MSI wants to produce a production only for teacher or only for female student, it can make it like more beautiful, more good looking, but now making it have some high level hardware, which is not needed by the target, by them, which is who is the target group, right? Okay, so for the next part, which is also the final part of this presentation and the paper, summary and lessons learned. Okay, for the summary and lessons learned, I will like give you a brief introduction, a brief summary and lessons learned in this presentation. Now, in the first part, the paper illustrates the background of this paper, which is the history of MSI laptop and some system engineering methodologies learned from the slides, such as requirement analysis and functional definition, and etc. The second part introduces the concept development stage, and the paper gives a detailed information about needs analysis, concept exploration, concept definition, and trade-off study in series, which is not only based on the basic knowledge in slides, which I have learned in class, but also have relation with MSI. The third part is about engineering development stage. In this part, apart from some basic knowledge I learned from the class, there are also some lessons about advanced development of MSI, what is the engineering design of MSI, and how does MSI do the integration and evaluation part. The first part is post-development stage, which is also the last part of the whole system engineering circle. It contains two parts, production and operation and support. Both of them give us a deeper understanding about MSI. Well, for the fifth part, which is also the final part of the paper, introduces certain system engineering challenges of MSI program that can be learned if people would like their if people would like to produce to make their own systems or programs. Well, that's for the part 6, and actually that's all of my presentation. Hope you enjoy my presentation. Thank you.